So hello, welcome to this presentation for Hello Future Live. Today we have Nicola and Bracken joining us from Lancaster University, and they're going to talk to us about student finance and budgeting. So take it away, guys.
Brilliant, thank you. Hi everyone, and thank you so much for joining us for the Student Finance and Budgeting session this afternoon. My name's Nicola and I'm a Student Recruitment Officer at Lancaster University, and I'm joined by my colleague Bracken, who is a Student Recruitment Assistant at Lancaster University, and we're both going to be delivering this session for you today. So we will get started, if my computer wants to work. It's not wanting to move the slides on. Just bear with me. There we go. Perfect. It was a little bit slow. Hopefully it'll pick up speed now. So this is what we're going to be having a look at today. So the different things that we will be covering. So we have a look at the different student loans that are available for you as a student. We'll have a look at the repayment system. So how the repayment system actually works when you start repaying back your student loan. How much of your student loan are you going to be paying back on a monthly basis? And then Bracken is going to go through with you some budgeting ideas, which are going to be super useful when you actually get into your first year of university, helping you to budget for your maintenance loan. So really important information there. And then Bracken's also going to go through some really useful resources that are going to really help support you when needing to budget your maintenance loan. So we'll have a look at the student loans that are available at the moment. So you've got the tuition fee loan and the maintenance loan. It's really important to note that in this presentation, we are looking at the funding that's available through Student Finance England. So if you are from a different location in the UK, you might be from Scotland, Wales, Ireland. If you are from those different locations, it's important to do the research from those governing bodies that actually operate student finance. So if you're from Scotland, it would be Student Finance Scotland, and all the information is on the internet that you'll be able to access. So these are the two loans for Student Finance England. So it's your tuition fee loan and your maintenance loan. So the tuition fee loan, how this works is it's basically a loan that pays for the tuition fees of the university. Now the tuition fees are annual, and at Lancaster University, our tuition fees per year are £9,250. So that would be your tuition fee loan in order to pay these tuition fees of the university. Now there's no upfront costs, there's no deposits or anything like that. All you need to do is make sure you apply through Student Finance England for the tuition fee loan, and then that loan will be paid directly to the university. So the maintenance loan is a little bit different. A maintenance loan is a contribution towards your living costs. Now it's really important to note that the maintenance loan is only a contribution. So it's not going to pay for every single cost that comes with living and studying at university, especially those luxury items or those luxury activities like going out for a really fancy meal or going to the most expensive gym in the city or buying really expensive new clothes. With that in mind, lots of students do get a part-time job, so then they're able to afford those more luxury items. So when looking into a university, have a look at the part-time jobs that are available if that is something you feel like you might need to do. So have a look on campus, if it's a campus university, how many different part-time jobs are on campus, and have a look in the city as well, how many different part-time jobs are available in the city. Now the way the maintenance loan works, again, you apply through Student Finance England, and then this money goes into your bank account. Now you need to have a student's bank account, so you'll have to set up a student bank account if you don't already have one, and it's paid in 3 equal instalments. So the first payment comes in your first week of university, so that might be September or October, depending on the university that you have gone to. The next instalment is in January, and then the last instalment is March, April time. Now, the really important thing to know about your maintenance loan is, yes, it goes into your bank in the first week of university. However, it doesn't usually tend to land in your bank account until the Friday of that first week. So really important that you take enough money with you, or you have enough money to see you through those first couple of days of your welcome week, so you can get involved in all the different social activities and make sure you've got enough money to eat as well. So just really important to note that. Okay, there is other funding available. So these are some examples of the different funding that's available out there for you. So you've got the disabled students allowances, you've got childcare grants, and you've got adult dependent grants. Now you have to fit into certain criteria to be eligible for this funding. All this information is on the Student Finance England website. So if you feel like you need a little bit more information about this and the criteria that you must meet and the grants and allowances that are out there, please head over to the Student Finance England website and you'll be able to find out a lot more information about how they work. Allowances or grants is money you don't have to pay back. So it's money that will be on top of your maintenance loan. So it's money that's really going to help you with those living costs at university. So really important that if you feel like you might fit into these criteria, to do your research to see if you're eligible for these grants and allowances. Okay. Lots of universities also offer scholarships and bursaries. Now, scholarships and bursaries are all very different to different universities. They're awarded on a variety of different reasons. So at Lancaster, we award our scholarships on academic achievement, and our bursary is awarded due to how much money is coming into the household. Now, every university is different. Some universities might award scholarships due to like subject, what word am I looking for here? I can't think of the word. Subject, oh gosh, right, I can't think of the word. I'll skip that and go on to the next bit. So they could also offer different scholarships like transport scholarships, subject scholarships. So lots of different scholarships out there for you to have a look at. Best thing to do is actually go on the university websites and have a look at the different scholarships and bursaries they offer. Again, it's completely free. It's like free money. You don't have to pay it back. So it's money that's on top of your maintenance loans. That's why it's really important that you know what's out there. So just to give you an idea of the different scholarships that are out there, I thought I'd quickly run through Lancaster's, just so you have the idea of the different money that is accessible through scholarships. So you can see at Lancaster, we do the £1,000 scholarship and the £2,000 scholarship. The £1,000 scholarship is awarded to those students that achieve 3 A's in their A-levels or equivalent qualifications, and who also achieve 5 grade A's or 5 grade 7s in their GCSEs or equivalent qualifications. If this student puts Lancaster as their firm university and are from the UK, they will get £1,000 in each year of study with us. Now, this is £1,000 of extra money on top of your maintenance loan that you don't have to pay back. So it's going to be super, super useful. And then we have the £2,000 scholarship. So this is a student that has achieved 2 A stars and an A in their A-levels or equivalent, have achieved the GCSE requirements we're asking for, put Lancaster as their firm choice, are from the UK, then they would get £2,000 in their first year of study. Now, for this student, because they qualify for the £2,000 scholarship, they also qualify for the £1,000 scholarship. So in their first year of study, they'll get £3,000, and then every year after that, they'll get £1,000. So that is a lot of extra money there on top of your maintenance loan to really help you with his living costs whilst studying and living at university. Our bursary at Lancaster is awarded to students where the household income is less than £30,000 a year, and they'd get £1,000 per year as well while studying with us. So if a student qualified for the £2,000 scholarship and the bursary, in their first year of study, they'd get £4,000 on top of their maintenance loan, and that £4,000 they don't need to give back. So that's why it's so important that you're looking into the different scholarships and the different bursaries that universities offer. Okay, so looking at the maintenance loan now and how the maintenance loan actually works. So the maintenance loan does vary on 3 different factors. So the first factor is the year of study that you're in. So if you're in the last year of study, you'll get a little bit less maintenance loan than you would have done in your previous years. And the reasoning behind this is because in your last year of study, you'll graduate May time, June time, you've left university, you've graduated, you are now no longer a university student. However, in your previous years of study, you would have left in May, June time, gone off for the summer, and then you're returning as a student in the new academic year. So through the summer, you are still a student at university. So you get a little bit extra maintenance loan in these years than your last year to help see you through the summer. However, it's not usually enough to pay for all the different activities you want to get involved in over the summer. So a lot of students will get full-time jobs or part-time jobs over the summer months. It does depend on household income. We're going to have a look at this in detail a little bit later on. So it does depend how much money is coming into the household from your dependents, from the people that you're dependent on. It also depends on where the student will be living or studying. So we're going to have a look at this next. So this is the loan amount dependent on the location of the student, where they're living or where they're studying. So you can see in the first column, this is a location, so home, London, or away from home. The second column, it says not assessed, and what this means is that the household income has not been assessed. So the amount you see in this column is the amount that everyone is able to access. It doesn't matter on their maintenance, it doesn't matter on how much income they have coming in at home, they're able to access this amount of money for their maintenance loan. However, a lot of students do decide to be assessed, and they want their household income to be assessed. And you can see if the household income is assessed, they are eligible to get more maintenance loan. So this student here, their household income is £25,000 or less. So if they were living at home, they'd get the minimum amount of not assessed maintenance loan, and they have been assessed and their household income is £25,000 or less, so they'd get an extra £4,471, and that totals, I just need to move my face out of the way, there we go, that totals a combined amount of £7,987 for their maintenance loan if they were living at home. Now, if this same student decided to move to London, and their household income was assessed and it was £25,000 or less, they would be able to access £12,382 of maintenance loan. And then the same student, if they decided to live away from home, so they move out of the home and they go and live at university, either on the campus or on the city, and their household income was assessed and it was £25,000 or less, they would be eligible for £9,488. So you can see, depending on the location, does depend on how much maintenance loan you are eligible for. If you're living at home, you're not going to be paying for the accommodation costs, you might be sharing the food from the family home, you might be paying rent, but it probably isn't as much as it would be if you were paying rent at the university accommodation, and that's why it's a little bit less than if you moved away from home. You can see that you can get a little bit more there, and that's obviously to pay for those living costs whilst at university, your accommodation, your food, maybe your travel, things like that. And then if you move to London, you can see that you can access quite a lot more of your maintenance loan, and that's because the living costs in London are so expensive. We all know how expensive accommodation is, food is, travel is in London. So that's why you can get a little bit more if you are studying or living in London as a student. So we're going to have a look at next the maintenance loan depending on the household income. So this student, for example, has decided to move away from home. So they're living at university in the city or the campus. So you see for this student, if their household income is £25,000 or less, then they are eligible for £9,488. This is the same amount that was on the last slide, because they've moved away from home. Now, as you can see, if the household income actually increases, the maintenance loan you're able to access actually decreases. And the reasoning behind this is because Student Finance England feel that if there's more money coming into the household, there's more opportunity to be able to support that student financially. All this information is on Student Finance England website. So if you wanted to have a look at how much maintenance loan you'd be eligible for, depending on the household income, you can find out all that information on the Student Finance England website. So this information here is information on interest and inflation. So it's just to let you know that interest and inflation is going to be added to your loan throughout the duration of you studying and once you actually get a job as well. So I'll run through this information really quickly because we do get a lot of questions about how interest and inflation works. So you can see at the bottom of the graph here, whilst a student is studying, they will be paying 3% interest and then inflation at the time of studying. Now inflation at the moment is 2.6%. So 3% interest, 2.6% inflation equals 5.6%. So you can see that figure there in the graph. Now students, whilst they're studying, will be paying that 3% plus inflation at the time. Now inflation can differ, and at the moment obviously inflation is 2.6%. So whilst a student is studying, up until the April after they graduate, they will be paying 5.6% in interest in inflation. Now, as soon as they get to the April after they graduate, they no longer pay interest, they only pay inflation at the time. So inflation at the moment is 2.6%, so they'd be paying 2.6% until they start earning over the threshold of repayments. Now at the moment, students will start repaying back their loan once they're earning over £27,295. So you can see that highlighted in yellow there. As soon as they start earning over that threshold, interest is going to be applied on a sliding scale between 1% and 3% plus inflation. And then interest is capped at 3%. So you can see here the next highlighted number is £47,835. At this point, they are paying 3% inflation plus the 2.6%. They're paying 3% interest plus the 2.6% inflation, so they're paying 5.6%. As soon as they hit this threshold of £47,835, they're not going to be paying any more interest. Interest is capped at that earning at 3%, so it doesn't matter if they start earning over that, they'll always just pay 3% interest plus inflation at the time. Now, I know this can be quite confusing for some students, so please don't get too bogged down in it at all. It's just to let you know that interest inflation will be applied and the rates do depend on kind of where you are in your graduate journey. Again, all this information is on the Student Finance England website. If you wanted to go into it a little bit more detail, just go over to the website and check out the information there. So how to apply to Student Finance England, really, really easy. You just go on the website, you can see the website there. So it's the government website, apply online for student finance. There's step-by-step instructions. There's a big kind of start now button. You press that, you make a login. So they'll ask for you to have like a username and an email, and then it will ask you to start entering your personal details. Really, really simple to follow, really, really easy to do. It does take up to 6 weeks for the student finance applications to be processed. So as soon as you know that you are going to be going to university, make sure you start your application just to ensure that your maintenance loan is going to be in your bank in the first week of university. So the application process, it opens in March and the deadline is the end of May. Now the deadline, it's kind of a soft deadline really. They say for you to get your Student Finance England applications in before the deadline in May, so that Student Finance England can guarantee that your maintenance loan money is going to be in your bank in the first week of your studies. If you miss the deadline and get it in after the deadline, Student Finance just cannot guarantee that it's going to be in your bank in the first week of university. If you think about the thousands of students that are applying to university and applying to Student Finance England, it is taking them a long time to kind of process all of those applications. So as soon as you know you're going to go to university and the applications have opened, get your application in. You will need your national insurance number, your passport, and your bank details to hand. You don't need a confirmed place at a university to apply. A lot of students kind of hold off until they've decided where they want to go, or until all their university offers have come through. I would definitely suggest not doing this. As soon as you know you're going to university, get your application in. It will ask you for the university details of the university you are going to. So I would pop in there the university you're hoping to go to or you're wanting to go to. And if that changes, it's absolutely fine. Those details can be really quickly updated, and Student Finance England completely understand that the universities you think you might be going to or you want to go to might change throughout the course of the summer. So they completely understand that. Just need to make sure you update those details on your application as soon as you know which university you're going to. You will also be asked for contact details for a supporter. So that could be your parents, it could be a carer, it could be your guardian. It's basically whoever you live with in the household that you are dependent on. Now, the reason they ask for that email is they will ask for information on how much these people are earning via their P60s. So obviously the people in your household will have the P60s, and they will be able to fill in all of that information so that Student Finance England are then able to see how much maintenance loan you're eligible for. So some top tips, as I've just said, keep to the May deadline if you can. If you can't, please don't panic. It might be in your bank in the first week of university, it might not. So I would just plan for it not being in there, just so you've got enough money to kind of see you through the first couple of weeks, just in case it's not going to be processed before then, just to see you through those first couple of weeks until it lands in your bank. So yeah, but try and stick to the deadline if you can. If the household income drops by 15%, applications can be reassessed. Really important that if the household income does drop by 15%, let Student Finance England know, and they'll be able to reassess your application, and you'll be able to access a higher amount of maintenance loan to help with your living costs. If you send anything to Student Finance England, a lot of it is done online now, but sometimes you might be asked to send some documents. Please make sure you send it recorded delivery. I know it's a little bit more expensive, however, it's just making sure that obviously that personal information is going to the correct people, and it lands in the correct people's hands. And when you're filling in your student finance application, obviously let your supporters know, whoever it is, your parents, guardians, carers, whoever you're dependent on in the household, that they will need their P60 in order to fill in the information on how much maintenance loan you are eligible for. So repayments are really, really positive. So when you graduate, your tuition fee loan and your maintenance loan will be added together, and this will make one loan, and your repayments will be repaying back that one loan. So how the repayment system works, repayments begin from the April after you graduate. So it doesn't matter what you're earning when you graduate, you will not be paying anything back of your student loan until the April after you graduate, and you only actually start the repayments in that April if you're earning over £27,295. So if you never earn over that threshold, you will never pay back your student loan. Repayments are based on what you earn and not what you owe. So one student could have a £30,000 loan, another student could have a £50,000 loan. Both students are being paid £30,000 a year. They'll both make the same monthly repayments to pay off their student loan, because it's based on what they earn, not what they owe. And then after 30 years, your loan is completely written off, and this starts from the April after you graduate. Okay, so we'll have a look at the repayment scale now. So you can see here in the first column, this is the salary before tax. This is your gross salary. And then you can see the next column, shows you that 9% will be deducted from anything you earn over the threshold. So you can see if you're earning £27,295, this is the threshold at the moment. You're not earning anything above that threshold, so they can't take 9% from anything. So your monthly repayments are zero. It isn't until you're earning over the threshold. So if you're earning £30,000 a year, 9% will be taken from £2,705 because that's the amount of money you're earning over the threshold, and your monthly repayments will be £21 per month. So you can see as your salary increases, your monthly repayments actually increase as well, but it is all in terms of how much you're being paid. So it's all relevant to how much is going to be in your pay packet monthly. So £21 when you're earning £30,000 a year is not going to have a big dent in your pay packet. The same as if you're earning £45,000 a year, £132 from your pay packet monthly isn't going to have a big dent in your pay packet. So some final points from me is that payments are taken automatically from your salary. It's all set up for you. So as soon as you start earning over the threshold, you will start seeing the payments coming out of your monthly pay packet, and you'll be able to see these payments on your pay slip that you'll get every single month, and you'll see how much you're paying back. If your salary decreases or it stops, so does your loan repayment. So if you decide to go part-time, or you stop working altogether because you decide to go traveling or something like that, all the repayments are done automatically for you. You don't need to declare this, it's all done for you. And your student loan does not affect your future credit rating. So if you wanted to get a mortgage on a flat or a mortgage on a house, or you wanted to get a car on finance, your student loan is not going to stop you from getting these things. That's really positive as well. So that's it from me on student finance. I know there's a lot of information to take in there. So thank you so much for listening. I hope that's been really, really useful. I'm going to pass you over to Bracken now, and she's going to talk you through budgeting.
Okay, so next we're up to the budgeting part of our presentation. So there are a few different ways that you can get money when you are going to university. The first can be a part-time job. The second, which we've already gone into detail with, is a maintenance loan. You can also get some help from family. Obviously, some people can't and some people can. This is very much dependent on the individual. And then you have scholarships and bursaries, which are typically awarded by the university and are automatically considered when you fill out a student finance application. So you shouldn't need to do anything extra. However, that is dependent on the university for anything extra, like carers allowances and disability allowances. And then you've got savings if you've managed to save any money before attending university. When we look at budgeting, we think of two different sections really. We think of what are your high priority items that you will need, and what are your low priority items that you will need or want. Having a look here, you have things like accommodation, your weekly shop, transport, socializing, new clothes. So all of these things could either be high priority or low priority. For high priority, you're looking at where you live, what you're going to eat, and how you'll travel to places. There's also things like monthly bills, so a way to communicate with people like your phone. Then you've got resources, so that might be textbooks, it could be equipment like stationery, that's all essential. Laundry, I would say that's high priority. And then you've got more of your low priority items, which are new clothes, socializing, gym and sports membership, and holidays. And I say socializing and gym and sports membership because there are ways to socialize with people and exercise that don't cost you any money at all. So that's why I'm saying it's more of a lower priority. An average monthly cost for students is obviously very dependent on what you have coming in and what you have going out. So we've put an example here of pretty much a generic student, and you'll see that their high priority costs come in at around £629 per month, and their low priority costs come in at £118 per month. So where you've got the red highlights, you can see rent, groceries and toiletries, transport, TV license, phone bill, course materials and health and well-being. They're all your high priority costs, and then the ones that aren't highlighted are your low priority. So that's things like going out, takeaway food, luxury clothes and shopping. So for example, any clothes for nights out rather than clothes for your day-to-day, and then some other costs. So it might be more like a contingency, or it might be travel to places that isn't necessary within your day-to-day life. So in total, you're looking at around £747 per month on costs. And obviously, this is where you need to know what sort of money's coming in. We have an example here of someone called Vicky. Vicky's a made-up name. This is based on 40 weeks because your semester time, your term time at university is typically over 40 weeks. So we anticipate that you'll have around 12 weeks off a year. So we just consider those 40 weeks in terms of how much you'll be spending whilst you're actually at university rather than any time spent away from it. So your maintenance loan, based on a £40,000 a year income for both parents, you would get around £6,828 for the year. Then you might have parental support, which could be £500 over 40 weeks. And then you'll have income through employment, which is around £500. Obviously, this could vary based on how many hours you do a week, or if it's a temporary employment or if it's a steady part-time job. And then this person was also awarded a scholarship of £1,000. So that total annual income is around £8,282 a year. Well, over 40 weeks. And out of those costs, you have, sorry, I've just realised I can't see. There we go. £7,800 of it is high priority. So that's where you've got contingencies, you're paying for things like printing. Obviously, I've already mentioned textbooks and stationery, and then bills, transport, food, rent, etc. So all of these things over 40 weeks will cost around £7,800.
Don't worry if it doesn't match. It's just basically showing you an example of the to budget. Just add up all of your income for the year for those 40 weeks. Calculate your high priority costs, and obviously do the sums and work out how much money you'll have left for those low priority costs. So Vicky's done this and she's worked out she's got £1,983 to last her for those low priority costs throughout the year. So what she's done, she's divided this up. So she's divided up by 40 weeks to say how much she's got to spend on those low priority costs per week. So she'd have £49.60 per week to spend, or she can divide it between 12 months. And obviously this will carry her through the summer if she wants to do it this way. If she's not going to get a part-time job over the summer to add to this money, she would have £165.25 per month. So what we're getting at here is it's just so important to have a budget in place, really important to know what's coming in, really important to know what's going out in those high priority costs, your phone bill, your laundry, your accommodation, your food, and then see how much you've got left over for those low priority costs. So going out for dinner, or getting that takeaway, or going to Topshop and doing a little bit of a shop there. So yeah, it's just really important to just budget it all through and work all through it before you actually get to university in your first week.
Especially considering that money that you can see there at the bottom, £49.60 a week or £165.25 per month, after all of the high priority costs have come out, that could actually stretch really far if people are sensible. I have here some top tips for budgeting. So the first and possibly most important is your bank. Choosing a bank that offers the most benefits, especially because they can offer things like rail cards, they can offer things like cashback. So there's all sorts of things that you can do to help get you extra perks on top of just opening a bank account, which will help you when you start university. In addition, getting books and equipment secondhand is very important. Some textbooks can cost hundreds of pounds, so it's really worth looking to see what secondhand options there are, not only because they're cheaper, but often they have notes within them which will help with your own assignments. So it can be a great way to get not only a cheaper book, but one with some work already done for you. Student cards can be a great way to save money. A lot of these can be regional or just for the city that you're living in, and they'll give you discounts based on like shops and restaurants and cafes that are in your local area that you're studying in. But they're also a great way for you to get more nationwide discounts as well. So it's a great way to save money. Also, student budgeting apps can be brilliant. Later on in the slides, we have some good examples of that, so I'll go into a bit more detail there. And lastly, create Excel spreadsheets. So knowing where your money's going in, where it's going out, and keeping a track of it is really good, not only for you to monitor your finances, but it also allows for you to skim here and there if you think you can save money anywhere, if you need it for the future. In addition, cooking with housemates can be a brilliant way to save money because you'll all be contributing together to pay for a bulk amount of food, which often keeps costs down and allows you to have things like leftovers, so it stretches your food further. Doing things like buying your own brand items rather than things like Heinz or well, Heinz do loads, but you know, like the big branded food items. If you go for own brand, you'll save a lot of money there. And oftentimes, and there's places you can find out about this, some of these companies have their own brands and branded items made in the same place, so they're not actually any different. You're just paying more for branding in some of them. One of the unique ways at university that you can earn some extra money is taking part in university studies. For example, psychology departments love to do this, where they will offer you things like Amazon vouchers or other vouchers if you contribute to their study. So if you know that you need something and or you know that you might need to save that voucher for a future date, then it's just a great way to have that little bit of extra money set aside for something that you might need that isn't cash. And lastly, wait until the end of the month rather than spending money at the beginning of the month. So if you know that you have something that you need, or just something, well, I say need, something that you really want, it's worth waiting until you have that money at the end of the month rather than spending it at the beginning. That allows for you to get anything that you might need during the month. And then if you do have that money, great. If not, you can always try it for another month. Big things to avoid, however. Number one, cash machines at charge. Some convenience stores, like your little corner shops and stuff, will have cash machines, but it also takes money off you to take money out. Unnecessary. So many places do contactless payments now, or it might just be a little bit of an extra walk. And then some shops also offer cash back too, and that doesn't cost you any money. So it's not worth taking cash out of a machine that charges you. Next, shopping on an empty stomach. It's well known, there are studies on this, you will buy unnecessary food and spend unnecessary money on food if you shop on an empty stomach, because you gravitate towards things that you want rather than you need. Overspending the first couple of weeks, this happens every single year. There's always a few students that get their student loan in and they go crazy, they don't budget, and then they spend everything, and then they're stuck until after Christmas, and they have to rely on other income. They'll have to rely more on the parents. So it's worth getting your budget in before you even start university, or at least planning for it, so that you don't make that critical mistake of overspending right at the beginning. And lastly, this isn't as common, but it can happen, paying to join too many societies. It can be a great way to meet new people, and it can be very easy to fall into the excitement of joining a load of new societies. But all societies, most of them will offer you free sessions as a try before you buy sort of thing, and you won't have time to be able to dedicate yourself to multiple societies. So it's worth being really picky about the ones you think you can really dedicate time to, and really spend the money that you want to spend, rather than just being a bit frivolous, saying a fiver here, a fiver there, because it does add up. So next section is help and support. Now, one of the most important resources you can look at is Martin Lewis's Money Saving Expert website. This has an incredible range of resources on there. So some examples can be student discounts and deals, a list of student bank accounts. You've also got a checklist of how to stretch your student loans, the ways that you can earn extra, you can save money whilst at university. You also have things like money saving tips. You can have they have a budgeting planner on there, so it's a brilliant way for you to, instead of having to create your own, finding an example of one and just using that. And then you've got things like help to understand your student loan, and then ways to improve student finance. So there's all sorts of things in terms of keeping up to date with new relevant news, but also things to help you in terms of budgeting and give you as much knowledge as possible on student finance. Some little, I did mention student bank accounts earlier, so a little bit more detail on there. You can see here that you can get things like the biggest 0% overdraft. Huge freebies can beat it. It's also worth knowing that you need to be 18 to get an overdraft. So if you get a student, some will let you at 17, but if you open a student bank account whilst you're at college or earlier, then you won't get an overdraft until you're 18. Most people, like it's just, I think it's just the law. It's worth to know that you will be credit checked, and it's also really worth knowing that you shouldn't pick your bank based on the closest branch. There are online banking tools for every bank out there. You don't need to be closest to one anymore. And there are several banks within a short space wherever you are, wherever you're studying. So you don't need to be that picky based on how close it is. And after uni, switch to a top graduate account. Don't just stick with your student bank account that you have. Make sure that you go to a graduate account that's going to look after you as well, as a lot will give you extended time on 0% overdrafts, and they won't get you to pay it back straight away if you have needed that support whilst you're at university. So I did say I'd come back to this, budgeting apps. We have here 4 of these. So the first one is Yolt, and it's and another one that's also pretty prevalent on social media is Clio. Then you've got Money Dashboard, and then you've got Pariti. So it's things, they'll do things like connect your bank accounts, they'll monitor your finances and see how you spend overall, and you can categorize things based on how you spend it in different areas. There's also ones that work through social media, so Clio works through Facebook, and make sure that no one can take money in or out of your account. And so there's great ways to have a bank account or an app that will help both juggle your bank accounts, but also monitor your spending and your budgeting at the same time. So those do exist, in addition to creating spreadsheets or having like singular budgeting apps as well. Other useful web links that you might be interested in. So the student finance website, always worth having. In addition, the calculator underneath, it gives you a pretty accurate estimation of what you could expect to get in terms of a loan. And then you've got our website, so you've got our scholarships and bursaries section. So each university will have their own section on their website for this. You've also got helpful resources for money, and then you can also speak to student finance advisors on the student room as well that are coming from universities. So there's loads of places you can get advice and guidance. If you want to ask us any questions or you haven't had enough of us, then you can chat to us at lancaster.ac.uk/study/chat. You can choose people based on if they're staff or students, dependent on the subjects they're in or the year they're in. Or you can even choose them based on what country they're from. So you can speak to us about anything on there. In addition, you can also see what other webinars we have available on our Connect page. That's lancaster.ac.uk/study/connect. We offer general webinars as well as subject specific webinars. So it's great. We have a great selection. It's worth having a look. And that is the end for us. Thank you very much for attending. I will pass back over to either Nicola or Rosa now. Thanks.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you so much for attending. If you've got any questions, just pop them in the chat and we'll be more than happy to answer them. But I hope you found that really, really interesting. There's been a lot of information there. But yeah, I hope you've been able to take it in. But yeah, good luck with your year 12 or year 13 journey into HE.
Thanks so much, guys. Thank you, Nicola. Thank you, Bracken, for that great talk. This event has been put on as part of Hello Future Live. We have events going on until the 18th of June, so please do check out some more events with us soon. Thanks very much.
Bye, thank you.